Hi. Okay. It's been 2 months since I made my last video, and I think I kind of forgot how to do this. Oh well. Well, I'm not here to talk about books today, because I don't know, I'm kind of taking a break from it, though it's just only been like 3 months since I've started my YouTube channel about books, and I'm already like, I need a break. I'm still reading, not so much in the last 10 days, but I think I've read way too many good books this year that I just need some time to let it marinate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting the good books marinate. So, and trying to read more average books so they don't take up too much brain space, if that's a thing. I don't know. But what I've been obsessing over in the last 10 days is Taylor Swift's Evermore album. It's amazing. I'm so in love with this album. Like, I genuinely have listened to it on repeat for the last 8 days. So every couple of days, I have like a new favorite song on the album. I'm not saying every single song on the album is great. Some are okay, but it's a really good album. Listen to it if you haven't already. I've never reviewed music. I feel like everyone feels this way, but I'm not being modest when I say I have a very average taste in music. I don't really listen to rap or metal or rock. I'm more alternative music, and I don't even follow pop music that much. It's I like bands. I'm more about lyrics than the beat. I think that's why I don't listen to pop that much. Though Taylor Swift is a bona fide pop star. Taylor Swift is not alternative in any sense of the word. Most recent albums she's done, Folklore and Evermore, are not really, they're still chart busters because she's like number one Billboard right now, the album Evermore. But they're not quite what you consider like pop music. Because I'm obsessing about this album and I have no one else to talk to about this, here you are. You are my victims today, where I just talk about Taylor Swift for I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but yes, I'm going to talk about this album. There's 15. How many songs do you have on this, Taylor? There's 15 songs on this album. There were 16 on her previous album. Together they make 31, and since 13 is Taylor Swift's favorite number, it meant something to her that 31 is the inverse of it, and she turns 31 this year. So Taylor Swift is very much about Easter eggs and symbolism and imagery, that she loves speaking in metaphor and hiding stuff in plain sight. So, and I like that sort of thing. Though I don't know if I call myself a Swiftie. I think that's like another level of fandom, that where you know everything about her life. I've just never been that interested in celebrity lives where I'm like, I need to know everything and will defend their action to no end. There's no human being on earth who'll ever do everything right. So no, I will not defend everything she ever does. You can't do that for anyone. Everyone is fallible, and yeah, but I like her. I like her music. I think she's a great songwriter, and I do think she gets too much criticism, uh, more than she's due. But then again, I might be biased because she's one of my favorite artists. So there's that. So I will just talk about this album and why I love it. Okay, this is not usually this kind of sound I like to go for. Folk music or country music is not really my thing. Like the snare drum or too much acoustic guitar. Not really. The storytelling and the lyrics in this album are just great. So Taylor Swift have always focused on writing her own stories in all her albums, and that's why it was just like constantly love songs and breakup songs and love songs and breakup songs, because that's what she was going through. So what she has done in Folklore and Evermore is tell other people's stories or imagine other people's situations and write a song from their perspective. Some of my favorite songs in Folklore are the Last Great American Dynasty, which is told from the perspective of Rebecca Harkness, who's Iris in Rhode Island. She has a Newport, Rhode Island mansion, and I've seen those mansions. They are so opulent. It was just like such a cool song to listen to because it's like her story, and then she weaves herself into a little bit, but it's still like completely her story. And Betty, which was a really good song, was told from a perspective of a 17-year-old teenager called James. Exile is something I really liked, which is her collaboration with Bon Iver, well, Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. And that's an excellent song. Just like the duet, I'm a sucker for a good duet. So that is a great, great song. I think that's my favorite song from that album. And she collaborates with a lot of the same artists in this album. Aaron Dessner from the band The National, Justin Vernon from Bon Iver, and Jack Antonoff, who she's collaborated with before in like her other two albums. She worked with him on Lover and Folklore. He produced less of this album, but he's still there. So it's the same production team that went into both Folklore and Evermore, and that's why Evermore is a sister album. It's so good. I'll go through all the songs in this and I'll tell you why I love these songs. Okay. Willow, I think Willow is like pretty similar to all her old songs where she's talking about her own life. So this is clearly about Joe, who's her current boyfriend. What's his last name? I don't know. I don't care. It's about Joe. Um, he's a songwriter. How is that fair? How is it fair that he's this talented? He wrote some of my favorite songs on both the albums. He wrote Exile with her. He wrote Betty. And in this album, he wrote Champagne Problems and Evermore. How do you just like off the bat, your first song you ever write is just so good? Like Exile, the lyrics for Exile and Betty, oh my god, it's not fair. Okay, so Willow's Taylor Swift just talking about her love for him, and she's referenced this in all her other music, like about the night they met and knowing instantly. And I think she's very struck by the idea of destiny and fate and how everything in your life leads to a certain point, and that's how she views her relationship with her boyfriend, and that's what she wrote about in this song. And it's a good, peppy, happy number, and I like it. It was the first song I listened to on loop when I first heard this album. Though now it's not my current favorite, but it was the first one I really liked. Just like really hooks you. I'm not a fan of the music video for this. It's not my aesthetic, but it's still fine. So the second song is Champagne Problems. I really like this song. So this is about a couple and the guy proposes and the girl says no, and like how everything falls apart from it. And I love the title Champagne Problems because I feel like it's a play on the word white people problems, right? Where you're just like, this is like, how are these problems? Like, Taylor Swift itself always writing love songs or about breakups, and you're just like, yes, white woman problems, but also there's still problems. Like your pain is your pain. So that's one of the things I really like about Taylor Swift is that she's very like self-aware and self-deprecating. She makes fun of herself a lot. This doesn't literally apply to her life. I like the take of like, oh, champagne problems. These are like elite people problems or rich people problems, but they're still like devastating. In both Folklore and Evermore, there's more focus on mental health and depression, which I really appreciate. Like, just there's more nuance to it instead of just being like a pop star who talks about like teenagers and love and butterflies. She's exploring other stuff, and I like that. Next song is Gold Rush. Is good. It's about like being infatuated with someone really popular or something. I liked it. Don't have too many thoughts on it. Then the next song, fourth one, is "Tis the Damn Season." This song and another song on this album, the eighth song, Dorothea, are like companion pieces. So she's telling the same story from two different perspectives. "Tis the Damn Season" is from the girl's perspective about like an actress working in LA in the industry. So like trying to make it. I don't think she's big yet. "Tis the Damn Season" is from her perspective, where she goes back to her hometown and um, like has this high school sweetheart boyfriend who is like the perfect match for her, but she wants something else from life. And Dorothea is from his perspective of where he's like, he can always come back to me, but I understand you need to do this, like, you know. And she's talking about how like all her friends are fake and the industry is toxic and all of that. And it's that story from both sides. I wasn't that into this Tissadam season Northia. They're okay songs for me. They weren't like really good. I preferred the three song story she did in Folklore, which was Cardigan, August, and Betty. Of the three, Betty was the strongest, but those three songs also like the same story told from three different perspectives of like the three people in a love triangle. So I thought that was a stronger trilogy than this duology of songs. But it wasn't bad. Like it was okay. And she's always played with this concept of like fame and like what it does and how it be good to run away. She'd prefer a life of like, emotional and relationship fulfillment over the fame and the notoriety. I think even the song Lakes in her last album gets into that, where she's like, I would want to do what the poets did, is just like, run away and live your life in obscurity and just, focus on your skill. Still write. I think she'd always want to be a strong writer, but I don't think she appreciates some of the consequences of fame. So that's what Tis the Damn Season and Dorothy are about, sort of, but I think she's done it better in some of her other songs. A song I completely love is Tolerated. That's the fifth song on the album. And this is a take on it. This song is inspired by Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's a book and it's been adapted into a movie multiple times. The most recent adaptation came out this year, and I've already did a book and movie review of it. But this 4-minute song is a much, much better adaptation than the movie is. The movie that came out this year. So bad. This gets it. I feel like in a 4-minute song, she got the crux of the story, where like what made me really uncomfortable about that book was that the narrator, we never get her name by the way. So the narrator seems to be very much in love with her husband and very like set on pleasing him and really looks up to him. And he just seems to be like, okay. I mean, he married her because he said he was in love with her. And by the end of the book, he's like, yes, I've always been in love with you. I don't know what the big deal is. But it just seems like he's just kind of putting up with her. Maybe that was the dynamic in relationships between men and women in the 1800s and the 1900s and the 20th century. But it's very relatable because I've definitely seen this in relationships even now, where like often the gender role dynamic is that women do all the work and men just seem to be tolerating it and taking them for granted and not appreciating the person they're with. It's just like taken for granted. You're stuck with me for life. What are you gonna do? I know, I really love this song. It just really cut to the crux of the matter, and nice. Nice. These are not her stories, and that's what I love about this album. A lot of these songs are not her personal experiences. She's writing from the perspective of other fictional characters or made up stories, and it's just so good. Oh, and my current favorite song from this album is No Body, No Crime. The Hyam sisters collaborated with her on it, and this is about I love it when Taylor is like all revenge mode. That's my favorite Taylor. I know everyone hated Reputation, and is it 1989? What was the album before Reputation? I feel like it was 1989. 1989 is my favorite album by Taylor Swift ever. Evermore might soon beat it. I'm not quite sure. In 1989, she does the Blank Space, where she's like self-deprecating and revenge Taylor Swift, or embracing the mad and the neurotic and the crazy woman character that she's often painted into is like my favorite version of Taylor Swift. Even though most people hate Reputation, I'm like, you're allowed to be angry sometimes. I'm fine with this. I don't think all the songs are great, but I like that you're angry and you're just like, fuck you. So No Body, No Crime is kind of that. It's not someone you generally get behind. I don't personally condone murder, but I appreciate the sentiment of like, you pay for this bitch. But I got way into that. So No Body, No Crime is kind of a revenge tale, and there are so many things that this reminded me of. Little bit like the Carol Basker story from Tiger King, but like from the perspective of her husband. Like, cause I think she murdered him. It seems like she murdered him. I don't know. Or like I recently read a book by Joan Didion, Crouching Towards Bethlehem, where she talks about a true crime story. There's a couple and the wife kills the husband but makes it looks like suicide, and the reason they discover that she eventually does it is because she's been having an affair, a secret boyfriend, and I think they attempt to kill his wife too, and that's how they find out that she's actually the one who killed her husband. This No Body, No Crime is like, it's very reminiscent of a lot of crime stories involving like cheating spouses and murder, so it's fun. It's really fun. Yeah. Happiness is good. Happiness is about getting over a relationship, reflecting on a relationship song. It basically deals with like how like immediately after a breakup, even though you broke up on good terms, where you want the best for the other person, you're still like spiteful and jealous if they move on quicker than you do and all of that. And it's a good song. I liked Happiness. It's a moving on from a person and having hope for the future song. We've talked about Dorothea. Coney Island is a song she collaborated with the lead singer from National. What's his name? I think Rice sang on it, or Matt. I'm not sure which one sang on it. But Coney Island is that. It's again about like being famous or not putting your relationship first. It was very reminiscent of The Last Time, which is one of my favorite Taylor Swift duets. I think Exile is better, but The Last Time by, I think Gary liked something. The last time I'm asking you this, put my name at the top of your list. I can't sing, I'm sorry, I really can't sing. This is the last time I'm asking you this. Who wrote that song? Gary Lightbody. So yeah. Okay, Coney Island for me was very reminiscent of The Last Time, which was a duet she did, I think on 1989 with, or Red, one of the two albums. It's a duet she sang with Gary Lightbody, and it's one of the top duets Taylor Swift ever did. So the song is reminiscent of that, though I don't think the vocals matched as much. There was that synchrony that she has with Justin Vernon or Gary Lightbody didn't, or even Ed Sheeran didn't exist for me in this song, but it was still lyrically a good song. And the reason I like Taylor Swift has always been about her songwriting chops, so I don't mind it. Ivy, a lot of people seem to like Ivy a lot. Not me yet. I will say yet, because as I said, every 2-3 days I'm like obsessed with a new song. So I don't think I've properly listened to Ivy. Each time I'll kind of zone out. So it is about having an affair. Yeah, there. It's good. I don't know. It's fine. I just hasn't made an impression on me yet. Cowboy Like Me is about like two players or two people who con people, just like finding each other, figuring out if they can actually make it work, with all their trust issues. It's very like Ban Bajaj Bharat, Ranveer Singh, and Anushka Sharma's relationship. Think of that relationship in a song. That's Cowboy Like Me. Long story short is again an okay song. Did make an impression. Marjorie, wow, Marjorie was such a good song. In Lover, she talks about her mother's illness. She did a song called Soon You'll Get Better, and it's such a nice song. It makes me tear up every single time. Just thought of losing a parent and what that existentially does to a child, because who are you without your parent? Like, who are you without, if you don't have them to rely on, them to talk to, them to define you? That's a really good song. Marjorie is about her grandmother who died, who was an opera singer. I think she feels like a lot of her life has been directed by the fact that her grandma was a opera singer, and maybe she gets that from her, the singer, the songwriter. Passion she might get from her grandmother, and I think this connection she feels. But her grandmother died when she was pretty young, 13 I think is when she died, right when she was trying to make it into the music industry. We do take our grandparents for granted as teenagers, as children. We don't realize how precious the time is. Even until you lose them, you don't ever realize how precious the time with them is. So, or like how much you still want to know about their life. So this song just like really delves into it. She talks about how there's all these clothes her grandmother left to her, and she doesn't know the story behind those clothes, or she doesn't know all her stories. Person dies, and you never know all their stories. People close to you, especially family, and you'll never know because you never asked, and once it's gone, it's gone. So it's a really good song. It's a really good song. This is what I like. It's like I'm a little bit done with love songs. I like that she's delving into like more other human relationships. Good for you, Taylor. The next song, the 14th song on the album, is Closure, and that song is about not having closure and being okay with it. Often in relationships, when relationships end, we're like, oh, we want closure, and we want to she talks about how she doesn't want to be smoothed over, and she wants to like sit in her pain and her hate and continue like being unokay with this person, and how that's fine. Again, decent song. That's a good breakup song if you want it. Evermore is a companion piece for Exile. Evermore is also really good. This is a song she co-wrote with her boyfriend Joe and Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. Joe, I think, even did the piano accompaniment for this, and Justin Vernon sang the duet with her. The first time I heard it, it was like stylistically a little jarring, because Justin Vernon has a very, very deep, low, gruff baritone, and Taylor, I think she's an alto. She's not too high. She's not like a soprano singer. I think she's an alto singer. But still, there was like a juxtaposition that worked in Exile. And here, the first time I heard it, it was like extreme, where he's doing a falsetto, where his voice is higher than it usually is. And it's just, but it was very jarring. And a few times in, I really like the song because they're doing the back and forth that they did in Exile also, where they're just like throwing off different sentiments against each other. And it's I think it's talking about mental health and depression and how it feels like you're going to be in this pain forevermore. Like this pain you're going to carry for the rest of your life. And it ends more on a hopeful note of like, I don't think it's going to be evermore. I think I'll recover from this, sort of like you might carry some of it, but I don't think I will feel this pain as deeply as I do right now for the rest of my life. So it's really good. I don't know. I don't think that counts as a review. I think it just counts as a session where I just gush about how much I adore Taylor Swift's music. It's a really good album. I'm going to continue to obsess over it for the next few months until someone else releases something else just as good. Okay. Bye. I mean, I have books to talk about and I have themes I want to cover. I might get back into it. I don't know. I'm constantly waiting for inspiration to strike. I made this video because all I can think about is this album Evermore, so I might as well talk about it. Books, inspiration hasn't struck yet, so I'm waiting for like, I don't know. I know that's not like a great work ethic to have. I think the common advice anyone gives you is just like do it till you feel good about it. Fake it till you make it. It's just not me. I can't do it. I can't do that. So okay, but I'm gonna go to sleep. It's like 3 in the morning. Shoot. It's late. Okay. Bye.